One of my favorite questions to ask my friends while we're hanging out is,
Now, what would you say are the most overrated and underrated letters of the alphabet?
and while I've gotten a wide variety of answers, it seems like everyone agrees on the same three things. What the fuck are you talking about? Is now really the best time you should be asking this? And please return my spare key and get out of my house. But I disagree. Today we will be taking a peek into the Sanrio claw machine that is my mind as I present to you my definitive rankings of all 26 letters of the English alphabet. I've spent my entire 3-month hiatus putting this list together, so not only are these rankings final, but you'll be safe to assume that the most malicious interpretation you could possibly read from this is the correct one. As usual, please send your most passionate responses to my email address here. For this to work, we're going to have to modify the standard tier list. Usually, each tier would be labeled a letter from the alphabet like this, but since we're going to be ranking the alphabet itself, this can get a little misleading. Instead, we will be using the much less confusing Arabic alphabet. Starting from the top, we have our sigma tier. Below that is alpha, beta, and gamma. Next, we're going to jump to the bottom for our omega tier. Above that, zeta, delta, and finally, our E tier. Now, let's get started. Our omega tier will contain all of the letters I believe to be so useless we can just get rid of them. In it, we have nothing. I won't actually be putting any letters in here because I don't believe any of these letters are worth getting rid of. In fact, if it was up to me, we would have 8 more, which we'll discuss in a future video. But not having this here would make the chart symmetrical, and I refuse to give you that satisfaction. Die mad about it. This chart's not budging. Next is our zeta tier, which will contain all the letters I believe to be so overrated, any usefulness that they might have had has been run completely dry. First up, the letter A. This was a no-brainer to me. It's the start of the alphabet and thus is delegated to be the start of so many ranking systems. A+, A1, A game. These were all meant to signify peak performance, but what does the letter A have to do with that? Nothing. It's just there because someone arbitrarily decided to put it first in the alphabet, but no one actually cares that much about A. There's nothing about this letter that makes it inherently at the top. If you gave a Chinese farmer a randomized alphabet and told them to put it in order, they would just say, 你小外国人走开. So who decided it should be first? I don't know, and I'm pretty sure, without Googling it, you don't know either. That bastard decided centuries ago that this poor symbol should kick off their newfangled writing system, and we're still dealing with the consequences today. Oh my god, I'm so mad. Only one letter in, and I am sweaty. Next in this tier are the letters M and N. Unlike A, I actually don't have any animosity towards them. They would be perfectly fine as they were if it wasn't for the fact that they just get thrown into words regardless if they belong there. Half the time they don't even make a sound, they're just there as garnish. Autumn, mnemonic, coado. These guys are being put to use way more than they're used to, and they deserve a break. Similarly, S. You know that old Scrabble hack where you can just throw S at the end of any noun and it'll still be a word? I hate that hack. It breaks the game, pisses me off to the point of table flipping, and gives away my rightful first place medal at the 2012 Hudson Valley Junior Scrabble Tournament to Katie Schwartz! Thus concluding our zeta tier. Up next is delta, which will contain the letters that aren't as overrated as the previous ones, but still get way too much hype for what they're worth. In it we have I, Q, W, and X. I, because it is the first person pronoun in English and thus is delegated to represent the self, the personhood, the ego. That's a lot of responsibility to put on just one letter, a responsibility that this skinny bitch is ill-equipped to handle. Q, W, and X are our hipster letters. They're quirky, get unconventional, but it's only for that reason that they get so much attention. X is overused by edgelords and people trying to be non-binary inclusive. Q's entire career wouldn't exist without the letter U, but it's Q that gets all of the glory. And W's weird in that it has the longest name, but it's not even a correct name. It's clearly a double V. That is the most forced ironic stunt you could possibly pull, and I can't believe we'd allow the French to be better than us at this! All that to say, these letters receive way more credit than they deserve, just by nature of being a little more different than the rest. But that alone isn't enough to make them special. Get a new gimmick. E, B, C, D, E, G, P, T, Z. And now onto our gamma tier, which will contain all of our neutral letters. These guys do their jobs and nothing more, and you're never surprised to see them. This includes K, L, and O. K and L are here because they never have any weird rules about them. No one ever stumbles over K and L. They sit humbly in each word, providing straightforward instructions on how to proceed. They have one consistent job with one consistent exception. You learn one time in kindergarten that knife starts with a K and middle has an L in it and you're set for life. I've never had a problem with these guys, and as a result, they have no problems with me. Similarly, O. It's versatile, but it never does any more than it needs to, which is all I could ask for in a letter. That's it for the gamma tier. Now onto the good stuff. Our beta tier will contain all of the letters that just need a little more love. First up is the letter J. It's one of the rarest letters in the English language, despite it having such a pleasant sound. Jasmine, jittery, jelly. They just roll off the tongue so delightfully, so why aren't there more J words? The letter J is so underutilized that I feel like we're missing out on some untapped potential here. And seriously, why does Q get more love than J? Let's not forget that Q has spent its entire career taking the spotlight away from you, to whom it owes its entire life. Seriously, the letter U has carried Q on its tired, underappreciated back for And finally, finishing up the beta tier is the letter R. I really love how much power this letter holds, that just by being next to a vowel, it can drastically change its sound. Like, none of the vowels in the word mirror sound like how you expect them to sound in isolation, but we pay it no mind because we're so used to R just messing up the vowels like that. This absolute giga chad of a letter holds a reign of terror over all of the vowels, and we've not only accepted that, we encourage it. Almost done, folks. We're now moving on to the sufficiently underrated letters of the alpha tier. First up is F. Having been notoriously delegated to mark failing grades and the start of so many curse words like and this letter has so little good press surrounding it that not even the lowest scum of society will use it until after a tragedy. We've done nothing but disrespect the F by throwing upon it the burden of representing all that we fear in society. Fear. I think we're all a little bit afraid of F. I mean, we clearly try to bring it down and keep it humble, but its ever-present gaze looms over all of us. It's only a matter of time before we all succumb to the powers of F, and all of our efforts to suppress it just makes it grow angrier. First, they came for the gamers, but there were no more Fs left to give. And next to that is Y. I think it's super ballsy of it to take on the job of both a vowel and a consonant, but it nails both, making it so versatile it could replace any vowel, and I do mean any vowel. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, our Sigma tier will contain just one letter, the letter I believe to be the most criminally underrated. This letter is the backbone of what feels like half the words we use daily, and it has the power to alter the sound of nearly every letter. I'm talking, of course, about the letter H. Despite barely making a sound by itself, the letter H's chokehold on the rest of the alphabet cannot be ignored. Every other letter stands no chance against this silent but violent fighter. They tremble at the feet of H as it drags each of them by the scalp, mutilating the sound of every last one of them. There is no doubt in my mind who the winner here is, and yet when the ashes fall and H stands victorious, we look the other way. We as a society do not talk enough about the letter H, and I have dedicated my entire life to fighting for its rightful glory. But I can't do it alone. My dear viewer, if you have made it this far into the video, and if I have made a strong enough argument for you today, please consider lending a hand in the fight for H's well-deserved recognition as the highest monarch of the English alphabet. All I am asking for is a strongly worded message on why you believe H is objectively the best letter, exported to a PDF and sent to Mark Zuckerberg's personal email. I don't actually know what his email is. It's not something you can just Google, but if you get started on that letter now, I should have it by the time you finish, so be ready for that. Otherwise, be sure to like and subscribe, and, well, I tell you to leave your thoughts in the comments, but like I said in the beginning, I've already decided that this ranking is immutable, so how about instead you tell me about a letter you would like to see added to the English alphabet, or tell me what you think is the optimal number of teeth. My answer for both is 8.